Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles.
My name's Kirk.
AFC North. We are finally to the Northern Divisions, previewing the NFL season for 2024. We're going to go through each team and pick over or under their Vegas odds.
We're there, folks. We're there. We're into August. We're going to see some crappy preseason games. We're so close. I could just taste it.
The off season, one day longer than usual because of that damn leap year, February 29th.
Got to get rid of that.
Yeah. Football could start one more day early.
A football petition to get rid of the leap year. It's the only way it's going to happen.
It's the only way. Okay, yeah, let's dive in. 4 great teams to talk about. And, of course, we have NFC North tomorrow, and that's also just rich text.
The Norths are looking good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while.
It has.
But finally, we're here.
The Baltimore Ravens, 14-3 last year, 10.5 over-under this year, coming off another 14-win Lamar Jackson MVP season that ended without a Super Bowl appearance.
It was disappointing. It really was. I mean, they should have been in the Super Bowl. I mean, you lose at home to the Chiefs that way. It was brutal. And they could have easily been there. That game was brutal.
That was. Credit to the Chiefs defense. They stymied the Ravens. The narrative right out of there was not really that Mahomes outdueled Jackson. Because Mahomes scored 2 touchdowns early, and then they went 3 and out the rest of the game.
I mean, score in the second half.
Yeah, they didn't score in the second quarter, I don't think. Like, from 10 minutes to the second quarter, they just never did anything again.
Yeah.
It was Lamar Jackson, chance after chance after chance. Zay Flowers fumbles at the 1. Jackson throws a red zone interception. It was just, for Baltimore fans, gut-wrenching.
It hurt.
And the takeaway was similar to the takeaway from the upset when they got upset by the Tennessee Titans in 2019. And they're 14-2 that year. The takeaway was that they abandoned who they were.
Yeah.
Right. And
they pulled the Cowboys.
And they did. They lost their heads. Like the Cowboys, Lamar Jackson was just pissed. Zay Flowers was unhinged.
Oh, yeah.
There was just a lot of mistakes and they weren't running the ball. Though some people are like, they only handed off to running back 6 times. It's like, well, first of all, you said that because they ran it with Lamar Jackson like 8 times, and they ran it with Zay Flowers like 3 times.
Yeah.
So you said the running back thing to make it sound worse.
But they still had rushing carries.
Yeah, they still had rushing carries. And like their first couple drives where they scored were like big passing plays. Like, do you want them to not get the bomb completion so they can get more handoffs?
Do you really want the 3 yards and a cloud of dust from Gus Edwards a bunch of times? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my biggest pet peeves of NFL is they need more carries. Well, and the analysts mean by that is they did a poor play calling decision by not handing the ball off more. And therefore, if they had ran, they would have been better. But you can look at it the other way. It was like, if they had been running better, they would have gotten first downs and a lot more opportunities to run the ball.
It just wasn't effective.
Yeah, it wasn't effective.
Problem.
Yeah.
But the team changed a lot this offseason. I mean, we bring in Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly because of the not running the ball narrative, but pretty good fit for old Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is Derrick Henry, I have here written down here, story of the season or afterthought? So it sounds like you're saying maybe.
I mean, I don't think he's like going off for like the classic Derrick Henry season where he's pushing for like 2,000 yards. But having this guy as a red zone threat with Lamar Jackson's legs, it's like you have to put in, beasts to tackle Derrick Henry, and then you've got Lamar Jackson who can run around everybody. Yeah. That's a good combo.
I love that in my mind.
Yeah.
I just like, will it happen though?
For a whole year too. Like, Henry's getting old.
Yeah, he's 30 now. I mean, we've seen
that's usually the cliff.
Yeah, and he's in a different uniform too, so it just makes it makes me think of like Cardinals Emmitt Smith.
Oh yeah,
or Cardinals Edgerrin James.
Adrian Peterson.
Cardinals Adrian Peterson. Or the Jets Chris Johnson.
Right.
Matt Forte, Jets Le'Veon Bell,
LaDainian Tomlinson.
What are these teams doing?
Jets
Frank Gore.
Good Lord. Lord.
Just it makes you think of the Jets and the Cardinals. No.
Yeah.
But then again, Derrick Henry has been something else.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
If anyone's going to be the exception, it seems like it would be him.
Yeah. I mean, he is a tank. So it's really just his legs. Do they overuse him early in the year or not? I don't think they will. And they got pretty much rid of their entire running back room.
Yeah.
And so somebody else will emerge from that as well to be the 1-2 punch.
An interesting facet of this Derrick Henry thing is the Ravens are the team most victimized by Derrick Henry. We were already referred to the 2019 playoff game when the Titans upset the Ravens, who were the 1 seed. Derrick Henry had 197 yards in that game. So Henry had made an impression on him. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but the next year, they had this huge midseason game in 2020. There's like big prime time. It went to overtime, and Henry had like a 38-yard overtime walk-off run.
Okay, yeah.
So the Ravens, they have been just thumped by Henry. So, of course, they're the ones. It always seems to work out that way.
Right. You did good against us. We know what you got, so we'll take you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, there's more to it. I mean, Lamar Jackson coming off an MVP season. Can he replicate those kind of numbers? Because it was a kind of a weak MVP season compared to most MVP years. You're just like, this guy takes it. His stats are ungodly.
Yeah.
This was kind of like, just who was kind of the best. There were so many candidates to be MVP.
It was definitely muddled.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
But I think Lamar has found his niche. And like, this is his team. Like the year before, it was all about contract dispute and blah, 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 blah. And like now it's his team. He's kind of found his rhythm.
Second year with the same offensive coordinator, Todd Monken.
And quietly, because I did not think he had a good rushing year. I'm looking down at my stats here. 821 yards.
Wow.
And 5 touchdowns. Like, I didn't even think of him running the ball that well last year.
Yeah, it's just because some of the other previous years like 1,200 yards.
Right? Yeah.
Which is insane.
Just a quiet 821.
From a quarterback.
From a quarterback, yeah. So he's still lethal. He's still a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't sleep on him.
I'm not worried about the offense. It's not just Henry. Mark Andrews, another go-around for him. Hopefully he'll be healthy.
Isaiah Likely as
the backup tight end.
Yeah.
Zay Flowers.
He looked like he emerged.
Yeah. I mean, but not a great playoff game, but he did emerge.
I do worry about sophomore seasons, so let's be a little worried about Zay Flowers.
Who's their other receivers? They
got rid of Hollywood Brown, right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. So
he's on the Chiefs now.
I don't even. Who do they have? Gosh.
Yeah. Go to
receivers. We got Aguilar still.
Ew.
Bateman.
Yeah. So Bateman.
Yeah. Nobody really to talk about.
Yeah.
They got rid of Beckham Jr. So I think this is mostly the tight ends. A healthy Andrews and a healthy Isaiah Likely with Zay Flowers out there. I mean, I have a feeling they're going to go a lot of 2 tight end sets and pound the ball.
Pound the ball with Lamar and Henry.
And then,
sounds like a strategy.
And take your shots with Zay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be much more pumped if they had last year's defense.
I know.
But they don't. They've lost key pieces. They've lost their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, and a lot of his staff. That was a championship defense. That was 2013 Seahawks to me. That was 2015 Broncos. What they were doing last year, and yes, they still have Roquan Smith, still have Kyle Hamilton, still have Matabuke. They got superstars at every level.
But less depth.
Yeah, and it's just, I hate that they didn't get to just win their Super Bowl.
And then go off and then try to tinker with things.
Yeah.
Right now they're kind of like, oh gosh, this team's got to be angry. It's a classic Kirk.
You love
teams
anger.
Teams that are pissed off generally do pretty good.
The defense losing their pieces is probably the reason that the over-under is 10.5.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that a little bit before. 49ers and Chiefs, they're the 2 highest at 11.5. The Ravens won 14 games last year, so Vegas is expecting 3 less wins.
Yeah. I mean, the defense is completely different, and that defense was dominant last year. I mean, there were bad offensive games, and the defense basically won it. They shut down some good teams. Lions, they shut down Seahawks, they shut down the Niners on Christmas Day. Like,
They shut down the Chiefs.
They shut down the Chiefs.
In the AFC title game.
They should have won the Super Bowl, but now they lost a lot of depth.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people are really underestimating that.
Yeah. And the coaching, it's brutal. So, yeah, let's talk about it. 10.5 over-under for the Baltimore Ravens. Keeping in mind, we're about to go through 3 pretty good divisional foes between the Bengals, Browns, and Steelers here.
I mean, I like John Harbaugh and all, but he is generally a 500 coach. He has good seasons.
Historically.
He has good seasons. He's got one Super Bowl under his belt, but then he's got a bunch of mediocre with Joe Flacco, a bunch of mediocre with Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So he's generally like a 9-8 coach. So I can see him going under. I can see this being like a 9-8 Ravens team. Nobody wants to play him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm going 9 wins.
Okay.
9 or 10. Like you said, 10.5?
Yep, 10.5.
So I'm okay, 9 or 10. That's where I think they're going to end up. Because this is a tough division, tough schedule, starting out the way that they have to start out.
Yeah.
So I think they have a little downfall because the defense doesn't keep them in like ahead the whole time.
Yep. I'll take the under too. I think a lot of people are talking about Lamar Jackson and not being able to replicate. I think we're both on the same page. I think he can replicate. He's fine as a passer. Like 125 passing touchdowns in 77 career games. Like, he's just fine.
Yeah.
But it's the defense. It's reasonable to say that was the best defense Lamar Jackson will ever have.
Yeah.
And that's not like an insult to this year's defense or anyone's defense. That was historic. That was the Super Bowl season. I'm so pissed.
They blew their opportunity. Yeah.
I'm pissed for Lamar, not Baltimore. You got 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Also, you love a scheduling quirk. Ooh. They play in their first 5 weeks. They play Mahomes, Burrow, Dak, and Josh Allen.
Man,
and then also Minshew. But could you pick a harder? They play Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, and Dak Prescott in the first 5 weeks. That's insanity.
4-1, losing to Minshew. I mean, that's a tough schedule.
Yeah, I'm going under.
I can see them faltering. Everyone. Middle of the October, everyone's like, "What's wrong with Baltimore?
Yeah,
why are they only 3-3?" And that's why, because you get the gauntlet.
And the nice thing about this over under too is, I mean, you safely said it, 10-7 make playoffs, but still hit the under.
I think they can make it, and it's tough to repeat an MVP year.
Yeah,
I mean, I love Lamar and all, but like usually you win an MVP, you don't like duplicate it the next year.
Look at 2020. Yeah,
right.
All right, let's go to the Cincinnati Kitty Cats. The Cincinnati Bengals 9-8 last year, 10.5 over under this year. No one even remembers how pumped we were about the Bengals mid-season.
Oh yeah,
we went through a complete roller coaster. Joe Burrow calf injury all through training camp. Everyone's kind of like, ugh. September started off slow. They surged until the point where they are week 9, blowing out the Bills on Sunday Night Football. People talking about the Bengals and Joe Burrow as the Super Bowl favorites going into Thursday Night Football against the Ravens.
I know I was definitely all over that.
You were definitely, but you were not alone. And everyone was saying this Bengals-Ravens game is going to position for the AFC #1 seed after 10 weeks. And that's the game where Joe Burrow gets hurt. It's on Amazon Prime. So just a complete bummer.
Also threw a touchdown while he got hurt. That's pretty impressive. Yeah. Like the last play of your year, you threw a touchdown.
Yeah. And then like the Browns have this whole Joe Flacco story, and the Steelers climb up into the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
So everything is just overshadowed that moment. The Bengals. And they had a good...
Yeah, and they kind of stayed in the conversation. Everybody was about Jake Browning and his completion percentage and blah, blah, blah.
I know. We didn't like that.
I know, right?
He did have... Did they win that game against Jacksonville? It was an exciting game, at least.
I think they pulled it off. I think that was
game?
the start of the Jacksonville decline. Yeah, but
safe. Yeah.
They still performed fairly well. I thought they would just absolutely fall off once Burrow went out and the people would give up on the team. But I was surprised. And the coach kept them together. They were able to stay competitive. They didn't make it, but you know, they were definitely still there, missing their best player. So that was positiveness for me.
Yeah, and they had T. Higgins banged up too.
Yeah,
so they're like the Bengals. I think going forward this year, the key to their success is the passing game. It's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. This is the last year with that triangle. I think a lot of people are forgetting how good T. Higgins is.
I know, right?
Like, another thing, we just can't remember more than one thing at a time as a collective fan base. Like, but remember the year before where everyone was like, T. Higgins is even better than Jamar Chase?
Exactly.
But now he gets hurt for a few games, and he's just obviously not.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, contract dispute. He's not going to play as hard because he's trying to make money. And I'm like, he's trying to make money, so he's going to play hard.
I would think that's the opposite.
Yeah. And he's doing the hold in rather than the hold out.
Yeah. Well, he signed his franchise tag.
Yeah.
So I think it's a
So
fair.
he's like, I'll play, but I
Yeah.
still want to get paid, which I appreciate way more than what Ayuk's
Yeah.
doing. Because they kind of get put in the same conversation, and I think Ayuk's is worse than where T. Higgins is.
Me too. But I think for Higgins, it's the right decision because he was hurt last year and his hype is down. So the only thing he can do to get more money is to go out there and do a normal season and play well.
He caught 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, like just 2 years ago. Like, they went to back-to-back AFC championship games. They almost won a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. But it just matters, what have you done for me lately? That's the NFL.
He had a bad year last year, and it wasn't even that bad.
So he'll be playing on the franchise tag. Jamar Chase, of course, is...
Jamar Chase.
I mean, he's got a full career of Joe Burrow ahead of him. He's going to be elite.
Yep, top 5 receiver. If you want to deny that, go for it. But he's definitely top 5.
I'm willing to say that.
Yeah.
And if Higgins hadn't got hurt, they'd both have. They were definitely on pace to have a third straight year of both of them hitting 1,000 yards. So
yeah.
Burrow has got these 2, Lamborghinis on the side. That's the big story. But he also does need defense.
Yes.
That has been the story of the Cincinnati Bengals 2021 and 2022. Yes, Joe Burrow is the face. Yes, they have a franchise quarterback for the first time ever, but they didn't win 4 playoff games because of Joe Burrow specifically. He only threw 5 touchdowns in their playoff run in 2021.
That's why we all started liking their kicker, because he's like, he's setting a postseason
McLaughlin,
record for field goals. Yeah.
But their defense
Yeah.
with Big Lou has been great. And they had some trouble last year too. It felt like the injury bug last year.
Yeah.
The more I talk about this, the more I'm thinking like the Bengals just had an injury bug last year.
They finally got bit, And it happens to some franchises. Trey Hendrickson, who everybody should know by now, he had just as good a season as like Parsons and Bosa. I mean, he had like 18 and a half sacks last season. Like, that's incredible. And he's like, just the most underrated defensive lineman in the whole friggin' league.
He really is.
And like
T. Higgins, he's unhappy and wants his contract too.
Yeah.
This is ownership
problems, but they're still there this year.
Yeah. They had Joe Burrow on a rookie contract, and they're about to come out of that. And the payment is going to be Hendrickson and Higgins.
Yeah.
So this is it. This is the run.
This is their opportunity.
Got to do it this year. They've got to shore up their secondary for sure, because they've got Awuzie is gone. DJ Reader is gone. They're losing some pieces there. They've got really young corners.
They're trying to pull a Chiefs.
Yeah,
let's hope they draft the right guys.
Yeah, and what you need to do that too is solid linebackers. And the Cincinnati Bengals have 2 great linebackers,
right?
Pratt and Wilson. They're going into their 4th year together as a linebacker tandem.
And they get no praise.
Nothing. So I just wanted to shout them out. I think they both had a little bit of a down year last year, but a lot of people chalk that up to the fact that they had to cover for a lot of secondary problems.
And they lost both their safeties the year before, Jesse Bates and whatnot, but they brought one of them back.
Von Bell is back.
Okay, yeah. Good decision, Von Bell.
Yeah, good decision. And they drafted a couple of guys. Like there's...
Yeah, and I like the way they're kind of just trying to build through the draft again. Yeah. Like if we lose these guys, we'll keep them, or we'll replace you with somebody we want better if we can't afford you.
But when have the Bengals ever demonstrated an ability to do that? That's what worries me.
I know, right?
Everything they've done as a free agency, like they brought in a lot of defensive talent to make that Super Bowl run. They have brought in offensive line from free agency, and it still sucks.
Yeah.
They keep investing in the offensive line.
I know, that's been the problem all of Joe Burrow's career.
Yeah.
But he's good at reading the defense. He gets the ball out quick. Mm-hmm. He's got a little more mobility than people give him credit for.
Yeah. And he wants, he's given a couple interviews about how he doesn't want the extra blocker. He wants to protect himself by making quick decisions.
Yeah.
Of course, he's also been hurt 4 out of his 5.
So maybe he's not the right guy to ask. They're like, well, we want you to play for 15 years.
Gosh, the more I talk about this, the more I just kind of see a real similarity with the Ravens. Although Burrow and just like an elite quarterback with a defense that has recently been good, but has question marks on it. Same over-under, 10.5.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, one of this is schedule, because the Bengals finished last in the division last year. So they get to face all the crap.
Oh, that's nice.
Their extra games are against the people that finished last in their divisions.
Ooh.
And the beginning of their schedule is New England at Kansas City. That's tough. Washington, Carolina. Then they get Baltimore.
Okay.
So like that's their first 5 games.
Yeah.
3 cupcakes.
Yep.
3 cupcakes where you can almost just run whatever you want, still win the game, and then you go focus on Baltimore and Kansas City.
Yeah, just go 1-on-1 against them.
I can see them getting off to a hot start.
Which would be rare for them.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
But I like the dynamic of this team. I like that they're pissed off. I mean, they should be pissed off. The last year, they just injury bug. And like everybody's forgotten, we went to a Super Bowl not that long ago and was an Aaron Donald great play away from actually winning the damn thing. And, they lost to the Chiefs on that, personal foul where the guy pushed Mahomes at the end.
Right.
And he gets that field goal. Like,
Right.
they could have been back. They could have
that.
been the back-to-back Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
And we've completely forgotten about it because of an injury year.
Yep.
This team is elite. This team is up there. Like, as much hype as everybody else has been getting, the Bengals should be in that story.
Yeah.
Like 100%. So I'm picking over. Ooh. I mean, I love the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow, his honesty, and he just seems like a good legit person. He just tells the truth, speaks it as it is, doesn't care what the media thinks of him. I'm going to go do my thing.
You are a Joe Burrow fan. You always have been.
This guy's awesome. I've been looking for a new quarterback ever since Peyton Manning retired. I think Joe Burrow's my guy.
a guy?
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
And Peyton Manning, like Joe Burrow, came to a franchise that absolutely bungled everything they had touched beforehand, which is the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, yeah.
The Bengals as well. But a franchise quarter makes all the difference. God dang it. I want to disagree with you, but I'm going to go over just because I think the defense can come back to where it was.
Faith in Big Lou.
Yeah. And like maybe not historic or anything like that, but if they just come back to the middle, they still have a lot of those pieces.
Yeah.
I think they're fine.
The only thing I've really heard complaints about with the Bengals is what they did last year. Oh, they're not that great. And they got rid of Mixon. I'm like, well, they brought in Zach Moss, and I'm like, he's just as good as Mixon and younger, and he did great with the Colts last year.
Yeah. Could care less about Mixon going. Yeah.
They can switch all their running backs. It doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah. And the offensive line, fine. They invested a bunch.
It'll work. They were winning games even when Burrow was getting sacked at historic numbers.
Yep.
So as long as they're at least mediocre, it's fine.
It can't be worse. All right, let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, man.
10-7 last year, 8.5 over-under this year, which is wild because Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season.
I know, right?
And the over-under does predict a losing season here.
They put it right on the edge.
Yeah. But also, like, Mike Tomlin, he hasn't, like, dominated. Like, the joke I read is, like, if you don't love me at 9-8, you don't deserve me at 9-8. That's the Mike Tomlin.
That sounds about right.
but still, 17 seasons, none of them below 500 for Mike Tomlin. A lot of them were 8-8, but none of them below 500.
Still it's an impressive record.
Yeah.
It really is. That's a hell of a run.
And that does, to me, that shows good coaching. Nobody's like listening to this podcast and be like, these guys think Mike Tomlin's a good coach. Maybe they're right.
Right.
Obviously we all know Mike Tomlin's a good coach.
I mean, last year people were calling for his head.
Yeah, that's true.
They're just like, Mike Tomlin doesn't have it anymore. Let's get rid of him because the offense sucks. And he's like, well, I'll get rid of my coordinator because that's what you guys are demanding my offense to do better. Yeah. Trust me, I've won a winning season for 17 straight years. You kidding me? You're going to get rid of me? Like, that's ridiculous.
He survived 2 years of Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Trubisky. He deserved.
He made the fact that he survived that.
The fact that he survived that.
That's incredible.
But they haven't. I mean, no playoff success recently.
They haven't been super competitive for a while now.
Yeah.
Like Big Ben was probably like 2015, 2016, 17, like around there was probably his die off. Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, like that team, that was a while ago.
Yeah, and and this reminds me of a speech I was going to give about Mike Evans, and I'm just going to throw it out here right now. But the 1,000-yard streak.
Yeah.
Thank goodness he got like 1,001 yards a couple seasons, which, by the way, is not that great.
Right.
Because thank goodness Mike Tomlin has this streak, because otherwise you would be forced to look at some of the results. Blown out by the Bills last year in the playoffs. Blown out by the Chiefs in 2021.
Yep.
Blown out by the Browns in 2020. They only have 3 playoff wins in the last 13 years.
Ooh.
One of them is A.J. McCarron Bengals, and the other is the Matt Moore Dolphins.
Wow.
So they've only won one real playoff game in 13 years.
So that's why they're calling for Tomlin's head. he's going.
But the streak saved him.
Yeah.
The streak saved him.
He's getting the Andy Reid Eagles treatment. You're
Yeah.
not winning us
That's
the Super Bowl. You're always there, but you're just never getting it for us.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect equivalent.
Because Steelers fans, man, like they know what they want. It's Super Bowl or bust every year for them. They have great fans.
Tomlin, screw the Steelers fans.
They've got 6 Super Bowls as a franchise. Like they want more. They're hungry.
I just hate the Steelers.
I know. I'm with you too, but like I have respect. Like,
Yeah. And now we're kind of with them in a sense as they go into a season liking and rooting for Russell Wilson.
man.
And I mean, good for them for trying to get behind Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky. Now they've got Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. They feel good about both of those players because they got Russell Wilson for nothing,
Yeah.
$1.2 million, while the Bengals pay him $38 million.
What a deal.
And they got Justin Fields for nothing.
Yeah.
Remember, everyone was talking like Justin Fields could net the Bears a 1st or 2nd round pick next year.
Oh, yeah, it was way less than that.
They got him for a 6th round pick next year.
It's incredible.
It's a 2025 6th round pick.
Yeah.
For Justin Fields. So these are cheap flyers.
2 good steals.
Yeah, for an unequivocal upgrade.
And I am fully on the Justin Fields bandwagon.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you.
Over Russell Wilson.
Okay.
We know what Russell can do. You already know it. You don't even need to put it on the field. You already know what you're going to get. Justin Fields has shown improvement throughout his career. It hasn't been getting him to the playoffs, but he was playing for a very bad Bears team who had no depth and no defense. Mm-hmm. So you can't completely blame him. I mean, last year we were coming in saying Justin Fields is going to be a top 10 quarterback.
I wasn't.
Oh, I mean, people were. They were just like, oh, this guy can run all over the place. Maybe he can actually get over the hump. He had a good second half of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust him over Russell all day, mostly because Russell can't see over the dang line and throw a slant route. He's terrified. He's got PTSD from the Super Bowl. He can't do it.
I mean, and honestly, I think give Russell Wilson a chance.
Oh, man.
Okay.
This is our disagreement. You're going to go with Russell again.
It's not even necessarily Russell. You know, I mean, I'll get to Russell, but I just don't really believe in Justin Fields. I can take an argument that his running ability could be good for a defense, but I'm tired of like watching Justin Fields games and trying. I try to like him, but I just can't. He's a maybe for like 3 years. Like most quarterbacks, we don't have to do this. We don't have to do a 3-year maybe he's good thing. Joe Burrow was just good. You know, it's like a lot of these quarterbacks, they show it to us. When his first game was abysmal. It's one of the worst offensive games of all time.
Yeah.
And I said, jokingly, but now seriously, if Justin Fields was going to be good, it wouldn't have looked like that.
He'd already be good.
Yeah. It just wouldn't. It's not possible, even in the player's first game, to look like that if you're actually good.
Yeah.
So but I can buy this rushing, you know, paired with a defense type of thing.
Yeah.
But why aren't we giving Russell another chance? 10 years of 300 touchdowns deserves some respect.
He is like top 15 all time on passing touchdowns. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of team previews are going to talk about 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions from last year.
Yeah.
Throw that out.
Right.
With the bathwater, folks. That was
did you watch a Broncos game last year?
Just go look at any media from that time, and we all knew we are barfing at our TV screens watching Russell Wilson play.
Oh yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe just a little humility. Maybe he's gotten rid of some of the concussion water guys and these door-to-door charlatans who have been pitching him sales techniques. I feel like Russell Wilson, I could tell myself a story that Russell Wilson got that big contract, thought he knew more than anybody in the world. He's planning a presidential campaign, in 20 years. He's got these hangers on, these yes men, these absolute jerks of trainers who have him doing these stupid,
doing high knees on the plane.
Planes. And it's all just con men and suckerfish. Now he's making $1.2 million in Pittsburgh. Let's play football.
Yeah.
And I think he can do it.
You got to earn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're making $1.2 million in Pittsburgh. Play football, Russell. And I'm rooting for him.
I mean, I'm not rooting for him.
This is the last 3 years of the Seahawks. This was the argument we were having.
Right?
Me and you.
Yeah. I was talking I don't think we've always blamed the offensive line.
Yeah. And to be fair, I said let Russ cook and you said kick him out of the kitchen, and you were right.
Yeah, right? So, I mean, I think if Justin Fields with a good coach can just learn to do simple things, because his biggest problem is pocket presence. He relies on his legs way too much. Just make simple decisions.
Yeah.
Just make quick little slant route passes, which is what Russell can't do. If Fields figures that out under this system, awesome. Absolutely play him. Will he figure it out? I don't know. So I might just lean towards the veteran in the beginning. But if Justin Fields is showing something in training camp, Mike Tomlin's going to pull that trigger.
Yeah.
And be like, whatever, Russ.
The fans are going to want him to, too.
Yeah. You know it. The second they're 2-2, it's like, let's get Justin Fields in there. Russ isn't good enough. And Russ is a very frustrating quarterback to watch. But he does fit kind of the Pittsburgh mold of just let's grind out games and win them at the end. That's kind of Mike Tomlin's thing. And that's also Russell's thing. So they are a good little match. So
it's interesting. And Arthur Smith is there for some reason.
It's got to be the worst hiring in the world. This is going to ruin the whole thing.
He could bring Rush. They could do the grinding with Arthur Smith,
who's their third string tight end and their fourth string receiver, because they're going to get a ton of targets. Yeah.
That sucks. I mean, Arthur Smith was frustrating with the Falcons.
Yeah,
but remember what he was with the Titans as an OC. He got worked. Henry, got A.J. Brown. They do have Najee Harris, and they have George Pickens. Najee Harris, running back for the Steelers. He's, 1,600 yards in his rookie year, 1,200 yards last year, 1,200 yards the year before. 3 seasons, 51 straight starts. Knock on wood, no jinx.
Right. And everybody likes Jalen Warren, too.
Yeah, everyone likes Jalen Warren.
That's a great 1-2 punch.
And then you got George Pickens. If you can line up a Najee Harris great contract here with George Pickens, he's going to have one good year before he starts throwing a fit at airports and demanding trades to Arizona. He's going to have one good year. Maybe this is it. Maybe line up those 2 years, Harris and Pickens, and Pittsburgh could do something here.
I will say Pickens is like the perfect receiver for Russell Wilson.
He is.
Just running those outside routes, just throw it up, go make a play. He's like just a taller, more athletic Tyler Lockett.
And he's not gonna like blocking for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
The defense, just quickly, TJ Watt's there. They brought in Patrick Queen from the Ravens. Don't know that I really if you don't bring in Roquan Smith as well, I don't know that I'm so excited about Patrick Queen.
I know, right? And Fitzpatrick's back.
Yeah.
Minka.
Roll the dice for a healthy season for Minka Fitzpatrick. Another knock on wood.
Get through the season, dude.
He needs to have a good one.
He's such a ball hawk. He could be Ed Reed, but he just never stays healthy.
And then TJ Watt. I know I said I don't like you Steelers fans, but now I'm going to get you on my side. Probably deserved Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett had all the narratives going for him. But performance-wise, I think TJ Watt needed another one.
Yeah, has he got one?
Yeah, he does. Okay. He has one, but he deserved a second one. I think.
And he's elite. When he's on the field, it changes the whole game.
Yeah. Over under 8.5. I'm going over.
You're going over 8.5?
I'm going over. I like the. There's so many scenarios where the Steelers, I think, get to 9 and 8. They're just so many. I'm just comfortable with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not 17 years and running to getting a winning season or at least 500.
Yeah.
I'm going with that. I think 9 games sounds reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get rid of Chris Boswell already. That's their kicker. That's my one pet peeve with the team.
It's hard to kick in Pittsburgh, though.
But I'm not betting against Tomlin getting 9 wins. I mean, they're going to pull it off.
This feels like
they got, like you said, enough scenarios where they can pull off enough wins. They're going to beat some good teams. They're going to lose to some teams they shouldn't.
Yep.
That's going to be Pittsburgh football. Yep. They might miss the playoffs at 9 wins.
You could. AFC is tough.
Yeah, but I can see them, they're going to get good wins. They're going to be on the map all year. We're going to be talking about Steelers in December.
I agree. Steelers are one of 4 playoff teams last year that are projected to have losing seasons this year. The Rams were at 8.5.
Okay.
The Bucks are at like 7.5.
Yeah, way low.
Steelers are 8.5. And the next one is the Cleveland Browns, who were 11-6 last year and 8.5 over under this year. And it really feels like the Browns are kind of coming out of a great. It doesn't feel right, but like the Browns roster is kind of cracking.
Yeah.
And I'm worried.
And it's all self-inflicted ownership crap. It's classic Browns.
It's Cleveland.
You finally built a good team. You said you were going to do it through the draft, and then you just dismantled all of it before you even gave it a shot. Mm-hmm. Like, the only person's really lasted is Myles Garrett.
Yep.
And now that Nick Chubb got hurt last year, who knows how he's going to turn out this season.
Yeah. Now they have cap issues. They're paying a quarterback, Deshaun Watson, so much money, and he has been what we call a subpar.
A while ago, we talked about worst trades in NFL history. Mm-hmm. That one's got to be up there.
Yeah.
That's absolutely got to be up there. But
even aside from his creepiness and sexual harassment behavior,
just period.
He just hasn't been good on the football field either.
He hasn't been on the football field.
Oh, well,
I mean, like his rookie season, he played like 5 games, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, he threw like 16 touchdowns in 5 games." And like, then he got hurt. Then he plays the next season, kind of gets hurt. Gets to the playoffs because he's got DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, like that was working for him. Does good in the COVID year.
Yep, 2020 was his best year.
And then all this crap comes out. He misses a whole season, misses a half of another season, and then last year he gets hurt. So, like, this guy's like an 8-year pro, and we've only seen him play for like 2 years.
And we know there's not a lot of self-reflection in this asshole. Never apologized, showed a single amount of contrition.
Nope.
Even after the Bengals owner's wife comes out, because you got to bring out the woman to show that you care about women's issues. It's the most corporate bullshit. I hate it.
I know.
If I was her, I'd be like, screw you.
Yeah. It's like, am I really the person?
Yeah. You need me because I'm a woman. Yeah. That's insulting. But she said he's contrite about what he has done. And then 2 hours later, they said, no, I'm not contrite. It's like, he's such an idiot. And he's so, don't even get me involved in this, but it's easy to root against him, and he sucks. So this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's honestly it sucks because I like the Browns.
Yeah,
I want to root for them
of all teams.
Just like I want to root for the Lions, the teams that haven't made a Super Bowl. I'm always rooting for, except the Browns.
And we had a whiplash last year. Everybody's rooting against the Browns because they don't like Deshaun Watson. But suddenly they get this Joe Flacco Cinderella story at the end of last year. Everyone's rooting for the Browns. NFL Network, remember we talked about that? 10 out of 10 of them picked the Browns to beat the Texans.
I know.
In that wild card game. Everyone was ready for a Browns, playoff run. They got one of the best offensive lines in football. They got what they said was one of the best defenses in football.
But it was only good at home.
Only good at home. They were playing on the road. I still can't believe that.
How was that not a narrative? The whole week.
They gave up the most points on the road.
Yeah.
Now, it is a little skewed because not every team plays 9 games on the road. So only half the league plays 9. So it is a little
bit, yeah.
Yeah,
but
a little messy.
But still worst?
Still worst.
Not good.
Yeah. 32nd in the league.
That was bad.
That was.
This team has so many good pieces, tons of depth all over the place. Mm-hmm. They just don't have a good leader in Deshaun Watson. And I like the head coach. I like Stefanski.
Yeah.
If they throw in the backup quarterback right now, I would be all about the Browns. I'd be perfectly fine.
Would you like to know who the backup quarterback is?
Uh-oh.
It's Jameis Winston.
Oh, this team. Cleveland. Are you just trying to go another decade of just failing?
Here's my argument. The Joe Flacco they got last year was not real Joe Flacco. It was his Jameis Winston season. Why not get the real thing? Okay. Let's throw 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, baby. Let's go.
Let's do it. Yeah. I can roll with that. Man, oh man. Winston. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Nick Chubb, like you said, he don't know.
When will he come?
Amari Cooper's finally 30. It feels like he's
turned 30 and got paid. Classic Browns move.
Classic Browns.
So he's going to get hurt.
They've lost their offensive line coach, Bill Callahan.
Oh, yeah.
And, they've had one of the best offensive lines in the last 4 or 5 years, as long as Bill Callahan's been there. Defensively, they got good pieces, but you're rolling back everything, hoping that it works the injury luck you had last year.
And that never happens.
And we've seen what it looks like when you lose an edge rusher or you lose somebody else, and it's only Myles Garrett. He's ineffective.
Yeah.
And every edge rusher is ineffective without a second threat, to be fair to Myles. Spells it with a Y, so he's not part of the Myles Club. But I do have a soft spot for him because his name is Myles.
Right.
But he spells it with a Y.
But it spells it with a Y, so screw him. Yeah. I mean, this team they were looking so good coming into this decade, and they just imploded it.
Yeah. I said they would win a Super Bowl in 5 years after they drafted Baker Mayfield.
And they might have done it if Baker stuck around. Why they got rid of him, I'll never know.
They had a window. They had a window.
Yeah.
They had Baker, an elite offensive line, an elite defensive line, a rare running back who actually makes a difference.
It's actually a dominant.
Nick Chubb.
With Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great team. And you imploded it. You bring in Watson and Winston, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't know what they're doing.
All of that, it's a crack. The cracks are showing. That was a great roster 5 years ago, and things are cracking. They have a rough schedule.
Yeah, because they did well last year.
Yeah, they play Lamar Jackson twice, play Joe Burrow twice, they play Pat Mahomes once. 29% of the Sundays, Browns fans are going to be waking up playing either Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, or Pat Mahomes.
That's going to be a problem.
That's a problem.
That is a big problem.
Just don't want that.
And they're like, well, we traded for Jerry Jeudy. We'll be fine. I'm like, good
Hopefully
Lord,
he's
people.
wide open because he does not challenge the ball.
You paid 30-year-old Amari Cooper, who I like Amari Cooper, but he's 30 now, and he was
he's one of my favorites.
He was barely making it through the year last year.
Yeah, he was hobbling.
I don't think Jerry Jeudy's going to learn anything different under this, this team. And
both Alabama boys.
Yeah. And Njoku had his best games when Joe Flacco was quarterback. Is Deshaun Watson actually going to make Njoku still be good? So he's getting overrated himself. So the weapons and is your quarterback ever going to get back to what he was like? What, 2020? So we're talking 4 years ago.
Yeah,
that's the guy you're hoping to get. And I don't know if he still exists.
Yeah,
because he didn't look like it last year. It was good he got hurt last year.
Yeah, it was.
It was better for the
Browns.
team.
For the Browns offense, it was actually good that their massively overpaid quarterback got hurt.
Yeah. And I just feel bad for Stefanski because coach of the year last year, he's a fantastic coach, but the ownership, the classic Cleveland Browns ownership, just keeps shooting their own players and their own coaches. Not even in the foot. They're just going right for headshots. I don't know what they're doing. They just keep screwing it up, and then they'll get rid of their ownership and try something else again. I would love to root for this team, but I can't with what they've done to it.
Yeah.
What have you done, Cleveland?
You want to join the Cleveland fans. There really are no better fans than Cleveland. Actually, there are Seahawks fans.
Yeah.
Not Seahawks fans who call themselves 12s.
I like the dog pound.
I hate that we call them.
I know, I don't like that either.
Anyway, sorry, we're talking about the Browns.
I like the dog pound. I love Detroit. I wish I can root for Cleveland and Detroit the same. Yeah. Because I've always wanted just them to go to a Super Bowl.
A Browns-Lions
Right? That'd be awesome. But it's just not going to happen.
We'll have to root for Bills-Lions. Or Bills-Vikings.
Bills-Vikings would be good. Both teams 0-4 in the Super Bowls. God, that would be nice.
All right, over/under 8.5. What do you think?
I'm going under. Okay. I don't believe in this team. They had a good year last year. I'm not a Deshaun Watson believer. And they're going to have a tough schedule this year. Cleveland fans are going to be like, maybe we can pull this off. I don't see this team doing as well as they did down the stretch as they did last year. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. Maybe they're floating around there, but I can see them 7 wins, 6 wins, sitting in the top 5 of the NFL draft again, or top 10. So, it just sucks it was the ownership's fault. I mean, you can't even blame anybody else. I think it's just all ownership.
I'd love to flip this on the head after we've talked just absolute shit about the Browns for 8 minutes and say over, but no. It's under. I do like Stefanski, though he's continuing to call plays when one of the big problems of last year with Watson was, I guess, kind of their dichotomy. You know, Watson wanted to be in shotgun, Stefanski wanted to be under center.
Yeah.
They like changed their offensive coordinator, but not their play caller.
Yeah.
They brought in Dorsey from the Bills.
Yep. Which he wasn't doing good with Josh Allen. So is that the best move?
Yeah. I don't like any of this. I think last year was a Cinderella story. It was a last gasp of a great Browns era.
Yeah.
2018 to 2023, great roster. Oh, is Kathleen weed whacking out there?
Oh, okay.
I hope people can hear that.
Yeah. It's like, what was that?
We paused because we heard some weed whacking,
Yeah.
folks.
But I feel like this might be Browns implosion.
Yeah.
We might be headed towards another
We'll just
rebuild.
keep getting more. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm under. 8.5 is pretty high. I was a comfortable under, actually.
Yeah. Like, I'm more confident in this pick than most of the ones I've made throughout this series of going through the divisions.
Nice.
I don't see the Browns coming anywhere close.
All right. Who's winning the AFC North?
Oh, man. You know I love me some Bengals.
You.
I love me some Joe Burrow.
Nice.
I think they got it this year. I think they're pissed off. They finished 4th in the division last year at 8-9. They were 8-9 last year without Joe Burrow for a half a season, and even the beginning of the season with the calf injury.
Right.
They're healthy. They still got the same kind of coach, the same kind of ownership. They got the weapons. They got the defense. You know, and I just see them taking over the Ravens this year. Schedule's a little easier, and they're pissed. I mean, if I'm a Bengals fan now, like, they got to go for it. They got to get the 1 seed, have some home playoff games. Like, that's what they should be going for. Just dominate the league, get in there. Let's host Kansas City.
Yep.
Rather than always going to Burrowhead.
Yeah. You and every player or every fan who hates the Chiefs should be rooting for the Bengals. If there is a Pat Mahomes antidote out there, his name is Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Ravens, though.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, I'm just thinking about if I'm like putting a bet in for who's going to win the AFC North. I just think the Ravens are just a safer bet. The Bengals are a Higgins, Chase, or Burrow injury away from 8-9, right? So,
but I trust the Bengals defense over the Ravens defense now. The Ravens lost a lot of pieces.
Oh, I don't. I think the Ravens have come down, but I still put them above the Bengals. Just because of how good they were last year. I mean, the Bengals don't have, even Hendrickson aside, they don't have anyone better than Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, and Justin Matabuke.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So I'm gonna give. I think defense is the right thread to touch. I think it's close. I'm gonna love watching Ravens Bengals games this year.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna give the Ravens defense a slight edge and pick them.
Man, I was hoping they would play each other last week of the year.
When do they play?
They play. Oh, that's like week 6 or something.
Okay,
and then November 7th.
Okay,
so they don't even play in December.
All right,
so it's early. Yeah.
Yeah, or any of those primetime games? Does it say there?
Thursday night.
Okay.
Is one of them.
Well, I hope Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt. Isn't that how we got hurt last time? The Thursday night game with Baltimore?
It was.
Come on, man.
Revenge game.
Amazon Prime.
This time Lamar Jackson will get hurt at the end of the season
While
again.
throwing a touchdown.
Yeah, this is a good battle. I think it's definitely Ravens-Bengals right now.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where we're at. Steelers being the sleeper, and
yeah,
Browns,
still playoff contention.
Browns going back to being the Browns. Let's get used to it, folks.
All right, well, we will be back tomorrow for the NFC North.
Oh, yeah. Skull.
My name is Miles.
I'm
We're
Kirk.
talking about the Vikings. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.